How much did you get on that?
On the video?
Yep.
Damn,
you gotta hate it when
I think I might have. Yeah, we might have been talking to the sound guys while I fix everything up. Let me see. He's What's the pump's name?
Honeybow.
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 She's a boutique coonhound. And she's already been walked today, and she's been on a ride in the truck.
Making new friends.
She gets to meet new people. She's so happy.
Having a great time. Alright, here we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Connie's Untitled Nighttime Talk Show, the only self-help podcast that only helps me. I'm here with my guest, Jakob Shaffer. Jakob is a drummer for how many bands?
A lot of bands.
How many bands?
I tour with the Black Legacy Project and the Music in Common Band out of Atlanta. I play in a Rage Against the Machine Audio Slave tribute band here in Fayetteville.
Does that count as one band or two?
That's two bands in Atlanta. That's technically two bands.
Technically two bands?
Yes.
It's not the same show?
It's not the same show. It's some of the music overlaps, but it's two different shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good times.
All right, so that's 4.
Yeah, and then I play. Yeah, on Rage Against the Machine Audio Slave tribute band here. I play with Sarah Lilly, who's an artist here in Northwest Arkansas, and I play with Desi and Cody in Tulsa, and I play with Vanessa. Louver, I think is her last name. It's a cover band in Tulsa. Mm-hmm. And then I play with Mark Adam Bennett, another artist out of Tulsa. And then I also put out fusion music under my own name. Mm-hmm. So, and I do sessions for Crisp Studio. I do sessions for Rafe at Holy Anvil Recording. Mm-hmm. I do sessions at the Closet Studio in Tulsa. And I do sessions for Dog Days Studio in Tulsa.
All right.
I think that's everything.
That's only 13 spots. Are
Yeah,
you leaving anything out?
Probably. I probably am, honestly.
All right, so that's pretty typical for a drummer to be in 15,000 different projects.
It really is. It's so typical. If you like to do what you're doing, if you do vocals like I do, vocals and drumming, you tend to get hired to do a lot of stuff and do a lot of backup vocals. And
you're one of those guys that can sing and play drums at the same time?
Yes, I'm one of those guys. I've had a few bands of my own in the past that I was the lead singer and the drummer, which, I mean, that was always just too much. Way too much.
Well, I mean, that's arguably like the coolest. There's not too many of those guys that, that one dude from the band,
Yep, Levon. You got Phil Collins.
Yep.
Night Ranger, the guy from the band Night Ranger in the 80s. He was a drummer and a singer.
Yep.
That's one of the few ones I know. Let's see. God, there's an older guy. What's it? Frankie Valli, drummer and singer.
Really?
Yep.
Jeez.
He didn't really do it in his later years, but he did before. Let's see. I think that's all the ones that are
more shuffling towards the end. Yeah.
There's got to be more. Oh, Karen Carpenters.
Yeah.
Drummer and singer. There's got to be more.
There's one guy. No, there's one half of Silk Sonic, not Bruno Mars, but the other guy. Anderson .Paak.
Yep. Drummer. Rap.
Yeah, I saw. I don't want to talk about clips on my own stupid show, but like I saw him like do a drum solo, do a backflip, go back into the solo, and I was just so discouraged.
Wow.
I know. Why?
Show off.
You have to. It's hard enough to like master the thing. Now we're being athletic too. I mean,
yeah, that's too much. Come on, that's some Benson Boone stuff, kind of.
If you're gonna train for the, I don't know. That was a bit much. I mentioned in a joke song. That was just the most ridiculous thing. I was kind of like, I don't know. I've learned that there's like tiers. So removing yourself from the equation, there's levels to like proficiency in music. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people start playing guitar so that they can like get girls, right? But once you reach that plateau, there's another one past it, where you're like getting everybody at the show laid too.
Yes.
You know?
That's what really starts doing well in the careers.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, everybody's loving this and dancing together and hooking up. Dude,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
Money well, yeah, no,
I'm
that's...
going to double the cover charge.
That's right. Yeah, no, and you'll get it, because that's money well spent. I didn't go to John Mayer on purpose, but geez, that guy can,
Your body is Wonderland.
Yeah, no.
Hey.
Well, he's actually, I don't know, what won me over there was like the blues guitar.
Oh, man, John Mayer Trios. I'd go see that. That was good stuff. Blues Trio, it's good.
You know who blew me away? Monday, I was at the Tedeschi Truck Show.
Oh, man.
And Buddy Guy opened up.
Oh, dude, I've seen Buddy Guy a few times, and I got to see him the first time I saw him was 1994.
Jesus.
And he blew my mind then.
Right. Well, I don't know. I didn't see an 88-year-old dude up there. I was just
shredding.
Right. It's still like, as horny as like a regular. I don't know.
I mean, there's not a lot of blues guitarists that are like, yeah, I knew Muddy. I knew Freddie King.
Yeah.
I knew Albert King.
Right.
I mean,
Hallow Wolf.
Yeah. Come on. I mean,
back when I was partying with Jesus.
Come on.
And Abraham.
He's that old. I mean,
yeah.
He was old when I saw him in 94. I think I was like 13, 14 years old. And I was like, I want to play music on a stage now.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do after seeing Buddy Guy and his polka dots. Because he's still rocking the polka dots. Has been for, I don't know, his whole career almost.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Derek
Trucks. You talk about Derek Trucks too. I've got to hang out with Derek Trucks.
Derek Trucks didn't miss a note the whole show.
Perfect. He's been doing that since he was this
like
tall
robot.
too.
I know. Like, ugh.
Gorgeous guitar playing.
So what's hanging out with him like? He seems like...
I was hanging out with him and another guy who plays guitar just like him, and they were both just doing that gorgeous slide stuff, and I was just sitting there going, wow. You're just smoking a bunch of weed and having a good time. You know, it was really nice up in Kentucky. Really, really good times up in Kentucky. It's where all those cool people are from around up there.
Yeah.
Man, hanging out in a holler in a band with a bunch of guys like that.
It kind of seems like, if you know them well enough from their work, it's kind of, it almost has to be exactly what you think it'd be. Like, my experience meeting Jay Leno, not that it was a letdown, but it was, like, he's not going to get canceled for anything, because, like, who he is on camera is who he is off camera, and minus the fact that I got to see him curse.
That'd be
like
cool.
twice.
I'd love to hear Jay Leno say,
Yeah, it was, you go up there and say, asshole. I don't know. Yeah, but, yeah, no, that's exactly what it was, and I guess that, I guess that's why Diddy's getting arrested, It's because the product is so different from, I mean, I'm sure Marilyn Manson got canceled too, but he was telling everybody he was the devil while he was doing it. So
well, I mean, that whole wonderful, rumor about his rib getting removed when we were. That was the best thing ever.
Dawn of the internet. Probably.
Everyone believed that. That was like the first stupid viral story that there ever really was for the internet and for all the kids to talk about.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Right. Blows me. Well, I mean, it's.
And I've seen plenty of videos of him he's gone and like messed with the front of the house sound guys and stuff. He'll be singing and walk up the front of the house and start slapping faders and stuff. It's like, what's.
Seems like he's a piece of work,
I'm sure he's probably not a wonderful guy to hang around.
Well, anybody who's running around telling people they're the devil, I'm not going to believe them, but I'm inclined to. I just act as if anyway. I mean, I don't really, I'm not going to check, No great Stan.
It seems like you could run into... So there's some musicians that are wonderful artists and humble people, and then there's the ones that are just assholes.
Well, I think in entertainment, just in general, it's always like, whenever there is somebody who's problematic, they always mirror, like they present the opposite of that. Yeah. Like remember Nako and whatever for the people?
Yeah.
It had like the most hippiest name, and I don't know, man. I've always had like a sixth sense for that kind of stuff. Like I didn't like watching Disney when I was growing up because it just seemed evil. It was like too polished,
Like this there must be some subliminal messaging in all of this.
Right, and then like 20 years later, Netflix documentaries confirm my suspicion. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
That's why I didn't like that stuff.
Well, all these cartoons I watched when I was a kid are all racist stuff, all this Disney stuff.
Yeah, meanwhile, South Park can do anything they want, because they've always just done that.
Yeah, it's always been de facto just mean.
Right.
So it's like if you keep playing that, it's okay. That makes sense.
Right.
Okay. Heard.
It's just, it's when people get in a lot, if like Ellen DeGeneres, right?
Yeah.
If she was selling Cruella de Vil, she would not get in trouble for being Cruella de Vil.
She would be expected of that. But if you're
Right.
playing the nice straight guy and you end up being the terrible human behind the scenes, come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, good job acting, I guess. Good job putting your best foot forward for the public to see, but why?
Well, yeah, it seems to me, especially if you're going to be like an artist, that like it'd be awesome if you're just selling authentic.
Yeah, being authentic and genuine seems to matter more.
Right. I think it should too, but it's even, okay, the thing that I was stunned by is like, getting involved with open mics and dealing with like whatever the lowest level of entertainment is like everything that you hear about on the top end is evident on the low end. Like it's the same amount of BS all the way up.
Yeah, it really is. It's like it's just almost luck of the draw of who really gets ahead in this stuff. And it's like sometimes it's the horrible people, sometimes it's the wonderful people, but it's always a mix.
I think that there's a certain level of delusional enthusiasm that's beneficial to a point.
Yeah, I agree.
And those,
to a point, you're right, exactly.
Like, I've got a rule for performers, especially like newcomers, is like, no matter what happens up there, I will not say anything to diminish their enthusiasm for at least a year. And if they keep coming up and then ask me for advice...
I was going to say, if people ask me for criticism, if they ask me, hey, man, what do you think about this? I'm going to be like, you want the honest answer, or do you want what you want to hear?
Right.
Do you want encouragement, or do you want to really actually to polish what you're doing? I mean, I want to, and I get asked that a lot by some people, especially in sessions. They're like, what'd you think about this? I'm like, well, I mean, what do you really know about it? There's a lot more, there's way more people that want to just be encouraged.
Yeah.
They really do.
No, I get that.
And I do too. I
don't know. I don't think that. I think maybe it's my upbringing, but I'm more of like a direct negative feedback.
Yeah, I'm a realist, a pragmatic realist about stuff, and I want to hone my craft about what I'm doing.
Right.
So I would rather you say, and I've grown into where. Probably in the last 10 years, I want to ask and be like, hey, what did you think about this? Mm-hmm. After every show I play, especially with newer artists, I'll be like, hey, what did you think about what I did? What did you think about the tempos? What did you think about the dynamics? Give me what you got. I'm trying to improve it. I want it to be as good as it possibly can. That is my entire purpose of what I do.
Do you ever initiate that conversation and the person that you're talking to doesn't have the vocab to talk back?
Yeah, sometimes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Fortunately, most of the people I play with, they've got a pretty decent, mind about them that they can really kind of come back with what the kind of stuff I want to hear. Like, this one song was a little fast. I'm like, perfect. That's exactly what I want to work on.
Yeah.
I just want to know exactly, because ultimately, if the goal is to make the art as good as it can be, then I think we're all on the same page.
And that's what it is. Is you're at one place, you want to get to another place, and you want to do it as fast as possible. And there's a certain amount of discomfort that's going to come with that. So I'd rather not sugarcoat it. And I don't get too many points for that either. But I don't know. I guess stand-up comedy is a little bit different from music, but it's not too different from music.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of parallels. A whole lot of parallels.
Yeah, like I don't know, if there's any persistent musician problem. Okay, one time I played with a guy who had a twig for a shower curtain rack.
Okay.
So to close the shower curtain, you had to go up and then down and up and then. Yep. And that should have been assigned to me.
Yeah, that sounds like something I'm going to be like, hey, man, so what else is wrong with you?
Right. Well, you find out as time goes on, and that's growth. But no, with comedians, it's usually some kind of moving violation. Anywhere from I know a guy who got a parking ticket in a town, and now he doesn't go back to that town. He needs a ride, and then, for everything from expired tags to expired licenses. It's usually centered around transportation, which is 90% of the job.
For me, my tell is with musicians is when I'm like, hey, can you rehearse this day? When they give me 4 reasons why they can't, I'm like, well, you must not really, you must not really want to work on this, or you must not really want to try. I get it that if you want to be, to me, that I kind of have separated roughly into 2 categories of musicians to me. It's the professional musicians who are making a real go of it and working towards it, and music is their whole life, and the weekend warriors, which I do work with both. And I've had to learn to be like, okay, so how often and how fast do you want to get this together and going, and how many shows do you really want to try to get played through this? Or what is your goal with this recording? Are you just doing this because you want to make something? Are you going to dump money into promoting it? Do you want to tour and play shows to support your recording? Like what is this? What are you trying to do?
Right.
And this is Arkansas, and it's Oklahoma, like I work in a lot, and for the most part, people really just want to be creative and get their stuff out there. They're not like, my whole life is I'm trying to build a band. That's what I decided a long time ago for myself, is that's what I'm trying to do, is be in bands that are trying to get bigger to where we're making any money at all, and to support what we're doing so that we can keep doing what we're doing and to not starve to death.
Oh yeah, it's to just, not work a job.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big ask. I get it for a whole lot of people, but at the same time, it's putting some things, especially the entertainment industry, require you putting all your eggs in a basket.
Right.
If you're not going to get to the next level to me.
Well, it's so competitive,
Yeah, you're not going to get to the next level to me if you don't really put a whole lot more effort in it than you think you should.
I mean, there's and basically that level is once you work the shit out of something and you're making changes that other people can't necessarily perceive. When somebody's looking over your shoulder while you're making the painting and they're like, does that little thing make a difference? And then you say something like, it does to me.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone will appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like for me, most of this stuff, most of the gigs that I do, I'm basically doing at a deficit. Because I enjoy doing it. Because, we are in Arkansas. Nobody's going to pay you to just talk. Well, it's kind of funny. What I've been trying to do is I've been trying to do like the, I'm solo singer-songwriter. Talks way too much. But it's like fun,
Yeah, the storyteller / singer-songwriter thing.
Yeah, this next one's about the one that got away.
Yeah.
And the one after that. And the one after that. All right. Yeah. And then, because so it was really fun doing hosting open mic right across the street from George's. Because every once in a while the band would come over, and it's the end of the open mic. There's only 5 people. I could kind of tell that they're the band because they look like it. And
yeah, you can tell.
Lead singer looking guy says, say something funny, and then I do 20 minutes for 5 people convincing. And it's like, that was funny, But,
I mean, you always play to the audience no matter what.
That's basically it.
I mean, if there's 3 people there, play your show for those 3 people. Give them the best show you can.
It's like I'm at the level where it's like, I am not the primary draw for the thing. It's usually like...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like what I'm the drummer. Nobody's really coming to see the drummer.
I suppose that's true.
I'm a utility guy, but that's my whole job. That's what I had to learn a long time ago. Is my whole job is to make you guys sound really good.
Yeah.
And if I do that, I'm doing my job well, and I'm probably going to keep getting hired.
Yeah.
So that's the whole key to me. It's you have the ego to let the ego go.
Yeah.
Almost. That's kind of the way I figured it in a way. Was you got to be confident enough in yourself and what you do to know that you're not the one people are coming to really see. No,
and you have to know the difference. I mean, that's reading the crowd. Like one time I was doing this thing at New Delhi in Eureka, right? Guy says, I like your guitar, and I got like a 5-minute bit about that. So I start in on the bit, and I could see he's very nice, like he's polite, he's smiling, but I could tell he's still hungry. So I let him off the hook so he could finish his sandwich. And I didn't take it personally.
Nice.
There's some people that they want the VFW to be Madison Square Garden.
I mean, I've played with plenty of bands that just... I've always called it putting the cart before the horse.
Ball hat.
I'm like, there's a lot of sayings in this business that it takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
Takes a long
and
way.
It's the truth. I mean, you have to work, and all of a sudden people will know who you are, but you had to put in most likely years of work to even get to a level of that recognition or that kind of money at all.
So that's one of the differences I think between like comedy and music is that at least for guitar players, I don't know a single guitar player that sees somebody absolutely shredding in a way that they can't and thinks that they can do that. You know, something about just talking into a microphone seems easier than, you know, and then when people are bombing, it seems absolutely effortless, you know.
Well, I mean, I've also seen, you know, I've got friends that, you know, are superb jazz players, superb guitarists who can shred and everything, but they just really don't have the wherewithal to play in a band and put a bunch of work into touring and get the band going somewhere. That's just, they're happy just kind of being around here doing that stuff. And I've never been happy just playing music in Arkansas. I've been touring my whole life. And that's to me, that's everything is like, hey, so you can be a shitty touring band and build a following.
Yeah.
You can be half-ass as fuck and still build a really good following if you're out there really trying to make something. If
you're road dogging it, yeah.
Yeah, and also if you're really good, you can make a really good following.
Yeah, I mean it's, I don't know, one part luck and a shitload of hard work.
Yeah, I agree. It takes a whole lot of different things, but it takes to me it takes 100% of the effort. And,
well, consistency, right?
Effort and attitude will pay off more than talent.
Yeah.
You know, 9 out of 10 times.
Wow.
You know, 9 out of 10 times. If you're out there working it and you got a good sound because you've been playing together for a long time and you're pushing it and you keep coming back and you know how to book stuff regularly, you're probably going to end up getting somewhere. You're probably going to do okay. If you find something that hits, if you find something that an audience wants, and I'm sure it's the same thing with comedy. If you find a bit that really kills with something, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to work this in a lot of different places. I'm going to try and take this around, see if I can start building stuff off of it. And
well,
what build upon that.
What it is like, okay, so what? Friday I got a gig at Peddler's Pub.
Yeah.
You know, basically, you know, the playlist that I got is I'll play all of my best songs because I'm showing up. I'm assuming that it's Memorial Day weekend and it'll be fine. I don't know if my friends are going to come out or not, you know, because they got lives too, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And, front load the first, 30 minutes with all the best songs that I have, and then, see if people are still hanging around. And then once table 3 refills on beer and they like me, now it's time to talk a little bit too much.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if I can navigate that whole thing without taking any breaks, then it's all about making sure that everybody who's, at the show is having fun.
Yeah, you're working the crowd correctly there.
Right.
That's the way to do it.
I don't mind, not traveling all over hell to do gigs, because, I don't know, my experience was Austin, Texas, right? A lot of comedians out there. You can crash on a couch. You can do 13 open mics in 5 days. But what I've found there, and this is true of most of the cities, at Los Angeles, it's you go to the open mic and it's the same 13 dorks that would be there normally. Very few audience members, except now it's dorks from 7 different states and there's 40 of them, and the audience is looking in their notebook instead of being at the show.
Yeah.
And when you do get a laugh out of the comedians, it sounds like they all sneezed at the same time. And what was that? Oh, that was funny. I'm like, why the hell are we?
What are we doing here?
Guys, I'm gonna drive 9.5 hours to jerk off in front of a bunch of assholes.
I think that's comparable. I've been out there and driven 9 hours.
Well, I'm saying
to play a show to 2 people and just been we're still gonna play this show. Then we've got another big show the next night. Might be 5,000 people.
It's always
It's the riding. Staying in the entertainment business is riding the roller coaster and having the skin thick enough to ride that roller coaster.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that I've been doing it a little bit. I've been doing it long enough to understand that the 5 people, at the, bar, are a better audience than the 40 people that are worried about their future.
Yeah, I would agree. But you got to do both gigs though.
Absolutely.
So that's the whole thing, is you play them both, you do your thing, you do be your creative self no matter what.
So
and you do the same quality show no matter what. I
exactly.
think that's the key.
Well,
where the consistency and the attitude come into play right there.
And people notice when you do that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Especially performers.
I think it builds confidence too. I think that's how you build your confidence in what you're doing, is knowing you're going to be consistent with your show and doing that thing.
For me, all right, so talk about confidence in performing. If we're talking about music, then it's a pretty easy equation. Mm-hmm. Stage fright equals how much am I unprepared?
Yeah.
You know, because if you're used to getting on stage, there's a point where it's like stage fright's natural, right?
Mm-hmm. But
at a certain point, you're gonna get 30 seconds into the song, and you're gonna either remember that you practiced it 1,000 times or that you didn't. You know, and if you did, well then great. But if you didn't, now it's time to start sweating and looking around. And
I'm always over prepared, and it does not matter how well I know those songs. I get the gags before every show, no matter what. I mean, I like quit smoking everything. I've tried to like cut everything out, less caffeine before shows, and I'm still just like get the nervous gags before every show. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, how little the show is, how big the show is.
I get like a shit my pants panic attack kind of thing.
It's a nerve thing. And I don't remember ever not having it, and I always do have it, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much I've prepared, or if I'm going in and doing a whole improv, like they're like, hey man, I just need you to come and play drums.
Yeah.
You're good enough to where you can pick up on what we're doing. It's blues and crap like that. Just do you and follow me. I'll give you cues. I'm like, all right.
Yep.
I'm going to be just as nervous about that than the show that I've been playing for like 5 years.
But I've heard people like Chris Parker said it like this. He said music is kind of like a language.
Mm-hmm.
You learn individual phrases, greetings, where's the bathroom type of stuff,
Yep.
And then eventually, if you keep doing that, you can just talk.
Yeah.
And
that's the truth.
And that
really is.
Well, that's true with most artistic type of stuff.
I think it's like how you learn how to react to an audience.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, these guys are not.
No, you didn't.
They're
like
not
that.
into what we're doing. Let's try this.
Yeah.
Oh, they reacted to that. Then okay, we know where to go because we know the language.
One time at a wedding reception, I played acoustic guitar in the corner because I was that guy at the party.
Did you do Wonderwall?
No, I did an original, and I don't know if I should be offended or not. But I looked around at the end of the song, everybody had fallen asleep. It was just.
I think that might be a good thing.
It was powerful.
That may have really just been like, man.
I don't know how to sell that, but.
I don't know. Nonetheless, it happened.
It did. Yeah, but confidence for me with stand-up comedy is because you can't practice the guitar at home. You have to go out and bomb a certain number of times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I'm ever getting like stage fright before a short speech, it's usually I'll think of the worst gig I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So far, the low water mark is I drove 3.5 hours to Little Rock. I showed up an hour early to like schmooze with the people at the bar to try to convince them to stay, which sometimes worked. Tonight it didn't. Everybody at the bar was crying. I guess everybody's kid went to jail or something.
Oh, God.
Yeah, right.
No.
Show starts, and there's two people in the audience. There's a bald guy who kind of looks like me, and then there's this pink-haired lady who, every time you say something into the microphone, she responds to you. And she's louder than the 200-watt PA. And the host is blind, so he can't see what's going on here, And and we basically did a podcast call in response.
Yeah, you're like, well, I guess this is what we're doing here now, huh?
I'm pretty sure she was high on meth because she would scream louder than me with the microphone, dude.
That's a little rough.
It was bananas, yeah. And the only other person in the audience was trying to bang Heather, And I learned her name because she didn't quit talking, And she went to the bathroom for like 45 seconds, came back louder,
Yeah, yeah.
I had picked up my friend from a surprise birthday party his parents were throwing for him to go to this gig. To go get kicked in the balls by Heather. Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, no matter what's,
It's not that gig.
It couldn't be worse than this one.
Yeah, it can't be as bad as that gig.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've had some pretty nightmare experiences on stages. I've played some pretty big festivals, and on the first hit of the kick drum,
falls over,
beat her right through the head. Beat her through the head, and I'm like, okay. So unfortunately, that usually when that's happened to me, it hadn't been at places where there's not a sound guy or a tech on the side of the stage that I can be like, come here.
Yep.
Be like, gaff, tape this right now. Put gaff over this. We got to do something. And then they'll remix the kick sound while I'm playing and make it through all that. But that's about the biggest nightmare for a drummer you could really have, is to kick through that kick head. That's happened to me twice. As that's happened to me, and once it was at a show, it didn't really matter. But once it was at a festival where it really mattered. So
the level of production that you have at your disposal kind of makes me furious, because like I'm the de facto that guy, and nobody,
You'd be the guy be like,
and everybody else that I'm talking to is complaining because they don't have a microphone, and it's like, come on, guys.
No, I'm lucky. I get to play. I play some small club shows where I bring my drums and I set them up and I'm helping mix and do stuff like that. And then also play theaters and performing arts centers where I walk in and they have drums and sticks and everything set up for me already. And all I got to do is sit down and do a check real quick and mix and monitor.
What are your thoughts on the cajon?
I mean, I used to do a whole lot more cajon gigs because people wanted that. They wanted that. They love. And I've got a lot of videos with a lot of views.
I blame Jack Johnson.
Yeah. And I've got a huge scar on my hand, as you can see right there. You probably can't see that, but
I thought they were made of wood.
That's yeah, they can mess your hand up. Yeah,
Jesus.
It's definitely. I've had what's called Dupuytren's contracture, and I blame the cajon for doing that to my hand.
Smashing your nerve down.
Yeah, just too much train beats, too much, and it finally messed it up. And I had to have it surgically fixed in 2021, January 2021. I got it fixed one time, came back, and I just got it fixed again November of this last year. Had to basically schedule everything around. Take about 8 weeks off. Be like, I can't touch the drums for about 8 weeks to let this fixed. But now it's finally, my hand is pretty much all the way back good again. So that's one of the things that can happen, and I blame the box drum. If I hadn't been playing a shit ton of gigs with a box drum, then that would have never happened. If I would have been playing with drumsticks the whole time.
You needed them Dice Clay weightlifting gloves. That's what you needed.
I needed something. So now, like, if people ask me to do the box, I'll do it, but I'm not trying to seek out a lot of those gigs anymore. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. It seems like it's tough on your posture.
Yeah, it's not easy. You're kind of bent over.
3 hours like that.
You're gonna be crooked. Yo, dude, I've done 4-hour gigs.
For that.
I've done 4-hour gigs with that stuff and just been like, it hurts.
Yep.
And ibuprofen helps and everything, but it's like, this sucks. And I've had bloody hands. There's pictures all over my Instagram of just bloody hands from doing that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, 2 surgeries from that stuff. It's just. That's what happens in the world of drumming. Sometimes you're like, man, everything's messed up, so I gotta fix this real quick and then go back to doing gigs again and try not to do it again.
What was it? Travis Barker used to super glue his hands back together after every show until he got like gangrene.
Ugh, dude. Yeah, you can really like
Fight Club.
I've learned to play with more dynamics and to do really well with it, but at the same time, I've can still do the Rage Against the Machine and the audio, so I can do the big heavy metal drumming, but I can feel what it really does, and I know that I'm going to have a little bit of tape, and I'm going to know that I'm going to have some ibuprofen the next day and to not do too many of those gigs in a row anymore, because it takes it out of you.
My philosophy on gigs is like, because I don't know, it was weird for me. It's like, I did an open mic and it was like, okay, 3 songs or you talk too much, and like it seemed like the entry level thing for the singer-songwriter thing was like 3-hour set.
Mm-hmm.
And going from the 3 songs to 3 hours, it's like, all right, now you're there. Okay, now you gotta do the whole show.
Yeah.
So like, I've basically got the lightest gauge strings that you could get on all of my stuff. I had tendonitis in the 8th grade, on my offhand, and like, just the fear of that combined with like just the duration of the thing, it's. I'll tune everything up so that I basically have to do as little as possible to make.
That's learning the tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like I see a lot of drummers show up to shows and they'll bring a huge drum kit for a 30-minute set or a 45-minute set, and I'm like, hey man,
those are my favorite.
There's a reason all of us working drummers play a standard 4-piece jazz kit.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to carry all that stuff around.
No kidding.
I mean, if you're doing 200 shows a year and 200 load-ins and load-outs a year, you're like, man, I don't want to carry all this. I mean, that's something I learned from touring 20 years ago. It's like, I don't need 6 drums.
Right.
I don't need 2 racks, 2 floors, 2 kicks, and a snare. I don't need that stuff. I'm going to figure out how to simplify all that, because it is just horror on your back to keep doing that. Even if you're try to do it and you stay in shape and you stay strong, it's still just going to wear you out. It's just like any repetitive motion task.
Yeah, I mean, and it always rubs me the wrong way when people have a little bit gratuitous setup. Like, there's a guitar player and he's got 2 Fender Deluxe reverbs next to each other, and
I mean, it makes sense if you're Derek Trucks.
I guess, right. But even he's probably just got like a 50 amp.
Dude, he doesn't even use any.
Blues
I'm
Junior,
pretty sure he goes guitar straight into an amp.
That was
done.
Right. Well, that was the thing I noticed was, okay, so I watched Dan Armbach, the Black Keys came to town.
Oh, yeah.
He was changing out guitars every song. Every
I mean,
song.
I get if you got a different tuning for every song, then and you got a tech to handle all that. Great.
Right, this one's in C. This one's in D.
Yeah.
This one's
Come on.
You're supposed to, I don't know.
I mean,
not to criticize anything that he did or accomplished. But the thing,
I think it's knowing where you are and what you're doing. Why make it overly complicated? When you could probably do what you're doing a lot simpler.
I think he's a victim of his own success.
Yeah.
Because he wants to do it.
Yeah.
He's got that canoe paddle looking one that looks like Plank from Ed and Eddie. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of like the new bass player for ZZ Top.
Really?
He went viral playing the 17-string bass. It's insane. Oh, it's the stupidest looking thing you've ever seen.
2 cricket paddles.
But he went viral playing that, and now he has to play it at every show. And he's like, "This sucks. I hate this bass. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it."
No.
He's like, "This is the heaviest thing I've ever put on my neck. It's terrible, but people expect me to have it now." A 17-string bass.
You gotta stand for it. Yeah, I don't know.
That's being a victim of your own success. Oh,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Go
No,
look. If you haven't seen
yeah.
it, look it up. It's crazy, big, giant, yellow bass. And you're like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my
I'd
life.
probably tow a truck with that many strings.
You could kill somebody with that many strings. You could just club somebody over the head and kill them with the strings.
Yeah. Well, okay, so stage fight. Drummers are pretty well equipped for it. You got sticks.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good.
Oh, I've had to hit some people too.
Yeah.
I've definitely hit people with drumsticks trying to be like, oh, I'm going to be the guy that's going to hit the cymbal with my hand. Whack. No, you're not. Whack.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's good because you also got a lot of range dynamically on how much you can hurt them.
Man, one flick from a drumstick from somebody who can hit the drums as hard as I can, you're gonna stop doing what you're doing.
I think my favorite stage fight move. You need a round bottom mic stand to do it, but you just lift it up 6 inches and swing it into their shin.
Yeah,
because that's like no movement at all, and it just ting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll ruin everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had to pull that off.
I used to play a lot of shows at Midtown Billiards in Little Rock, and that's the 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. show.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. show.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is
pretty rowdy.
It is pretty rowdy. It's not as rowdy as it seems like it used to be. And I haven't done it in a couple of years because I've gotten older and I'm like, I don't really want to do 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. shows anymore to get back to Fayetteville about 9 a.m. in the morning and be like, oh, I get to sleep.
People are going to work and you just...
I used to do a lot of shows there, and at one time I played in a progressive power trio, and it was kind of a corner stage, and we'd have guitar over here, bass kind of back in the corner, drums right here. And about 4 in the morning, there'd be some really coked up drunk people that are just like, I could tell that they were about to do it. They were just looking at that cymbal, and they're gonna do it, and I'm like, man, I'm not as fucked up as you. I mean, I'm probably pretty fucked up as you, but I'm not as fucked up as you, and I know what you're about to do, and I'm just waiting for that hand to come up, pop some knuckles with the drumstick. Oh, why'd you hit me? You were about to hit that cymbal. That cymbal's worth probably more than your car. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah. It is an instrument.
Yeah.
Overhead on drums.
The drums are expensive. It's like you're not going to let somebody come up and hit your guitar or be like, hey, man, let me get your guitar. The drums are the same way. It's like, hey,
hockey,
man.
There's a specialized version of every fucking thing.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with a musician's instrument. I think that's a cultural universal in everywhere in the world. Is like as soon as some rando comes up and thinks that they're going to grab a mic or that they're going to grab an instrument or they're going to hit a drum, that's when all bets are off and violence comes out.
Well, so the microphone that I use for most of my shows is I made a trade with the owner of the comedy club.
Okay.
Because he had like okay, we're getting in the weeds here. 58 beta, and I
Yeah,
had
Beta
like
58, yeah.
Yeah, and instead of a regular 58, some of the comedians hold it here, and nobody knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
That's one of the that's another one of the comedian problems between transportation and not knowing how to use a freaking microphone.
Yeah.
All right, any of them.
Yeah, don't cup the microphone.
Right? Yeah, it's the same etiquette that you'd have for like a hand job. You know, you don't just mash the tip.
Yeah, stop it.
Right.
Don't be jamming against the balls there.
Right.
Come on.
Right. Right at the base. You know.
If you need to know how to hold a microphone, ask a sound guy. He'll tell you.
Yeah.
He will happily tell you.
I mean, you've probably done a bunch of research without realizing it. You know, you're just using the wrong grip. But Carlos Mencia was like spazzing out doing one of his things and like smashing the microphone into the side of the mic stand, so I've got a couple of dings in it that he put on there. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm a tremendous fan, although he did put on a ridiculous show.
What was the show, Mind of Mencia?
Yeah.
That was pretty okay back in the day.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
He got popped for plagiarism.
I think I remember hearing about that.
It's kind of the same thing that happened to Ja Rule. Like 50 Cent.
And like Dane, what's his face, too?
Well, Dane Cook got torpedoed by his own brother.
Okay. I remember hearing he stole some jokes, too, from some people. If I remember about that.
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, if I remember reading about that, because I thought, everybody kind of used to think Dane Cook was really cool, and then all of a sudden Dane Cook was not cool anymore.
I mean, well, yeah, entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment industry, man. There's
also,
so many
like,
parallels in all of
if
this.
you look at him, I mean, he's, I guess, like, he was selling douchebag.
Yeah, he was really just, here's douchey white guy telling douchey jokes. Right. And I think that shit don't fly anymore.
Well, I think what his main exploit was marketing. He was on, it was MySpace back then.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of that stuff is. Man. Matt Rife is...
Yep.
It was diabolical because it's like, all right, people want clips for comedy on social media, and crowd work is perfect for that because you didn't work on the bit before you got there. It's a one-of-one unique interaction, ideally, and you can sell that type of stuff all day.
Well, it's odd, the disconnect between those bits that can really hit on TikTok and even Instagram Reels and all that stuff, and being in front of a real audience. There is a gulf.
Yeah.
There is a gulf and a canyon between those two things, it seems like. Sometimes they both work. Sometimes it all equals together, but I think more often than not, it's just like Instagram drummers to me. You see all these Instagram drummers do these super shedding and everything, but they couldn't play with the band if their life depended on it.
That sucks, dude.
And that's what I'm like, that's really cool that you get all those views on social media and you can shred, but you put you in a studio or a room with a band and you're trying to write music or trying to be musical with the drums and play with the song, that it's damn near impossible for you.
Right.
I mean, there are people who transcend. There's people that transcend and can do all of that. I think it's way more rare that they can actually do both. I think a lot of us who play well with people who glue music together for bands, we're just really not into making videos that make us look all super awesome and here's what I can do really cool. I would much rather be out.
It's a totally different skill set.
I think it is. I don't think I have that skill set to be like, here's me shredding on the drums. I mean, I can shred on the drums, but I don't know if I need to make a video or show you that that's what I'm doing. I think you're right. It's a different skill set.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we are on my self-titled podcast right now, but that is a legitimate concern because it's like, okay, if you're going to do this, and it's going to be authentic, then who are you? You have to be able to answer that.
I like it because I think it offers more avenues for creative expression.
Yeah,
I like it for that fact. I like that people can earn money doing it too.
Yeah,
but I think it also, I don't think it necessarily denigrates the skill set of other people that are out there performing in different ways, but I think it's the more popular thing, it seems, right now. It's more of what you see.
That's usually the progression, is that whatever is popular tends to be what is popular, not because it's the best, just because that's what's happening.
You
ever see the documentary on the Wrecking Crew?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's a quote from one of the drummers there. It's just like, well, I don't like rock and roll, but if it's going to pay me, well, it's not.
Oh yeah. I mean, I understand that. I've played church gigs.
Yep.
I've played devil music gigs. I mean, and everything in between. Whatever. I will do whatever. I just love to play music, and I think a lot of people who want to work in the entertainment industry, they figure out a way to make it work. And you there's a certain artistry that you want to maintain, a certain level of integrity you want to have. But I also think you got to figure out how to work and make connections, and you're going to have to compromise in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be like, I don't want to play Christian music, I don't want to play country music, but I will play Christian music, and I'll play country music, and I'll be happy to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I might not want to do your vocals for you, but I'll play the drums for you, sure.
I don't know. Country music's one of those tricky things, because there's a lot of bad stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like, there's like...
I think if it...
there were 5 dudes that got hurt so bad that they could cry to 3 chords, and it inspired just thousands and thousands. And God, when you got to like... When they mixed it with rap, that was unnecessary.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of...
but it sounds... I don't know, man. That's the thing that would like kind of bother me is like Flock of Seagulls. Mm-hmm. You know, they wrote And I Ran because they had a deadline. And then it ended up being the biggest hit, and then that's all they play at their shows, and they hate the song.
Yeah.
You know, that seems like a weird Twilight Zone type of...
I agree, but I think if you're able to understand that what's brought you success, even if it wasn't what you were intending or what you wanted to do, if you accept it as success, then you've done something with it. It's not necessarily that much of a compromise, but hey, who am I to tell other people their ethics and morals? I just know that my ethics and morals tell me if I'm working, I'm happy.
Right.
If I'm out making music, I'm happy. And that's all I wanted to do with my life, and that's all I've been doing with my life for a long fucking time. And I consider that, to me, to be successful. You know, I might not make a whole bunch of money doing it, but I get to do it all the time. And that's what I love to do. So, fucking winning. I mean, I might not have the most fucking views on Instagram. I might not have that many followers on social media.
Nobody watches this show, by the way.
I mean,
that's yeah, I didn't...
damn it!
Yeah, you made it sound like you were doing something on the phone earlier. You're not. This isn't going to change anything.
I've got to do things. I've got connections.
Actually, talking about social media, there's a trap that I see a lot of people get caught into is... I was on a porch doing one of these, and we were just talking about, like, it started off with the Roman Empire, predictably, right? And I went to a museum one time, and I was looking at all these coins, and I was like, they assassinated every single one of these guys. Every single one. There was only 2 peaceful transitions of power during that whole fucking shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2. And, yeah, one of them was related. But, neither here nor there. We talk about like American presidents that have been assassinated, and it was the day that somebody tried to shoot Trump. Right, so that one ended up getting 2,500 views when all the other ones got 12. Now I got a decision to make. If I say the word, if I say a specific word into the microphone, specific types of people will now glom onto it because it's the hot thing of the day.
Yeah.
And then the inverse of that is true as well. But eventually all that stuff ends up, simmering out, and what are you left with? If you're not being authentic and trying to sell yourself, and you're just trying to, like, I don't know, bait people into stuff.
Yeah, just bait people to be popular for popular's sake.
Right, then eventually you're going to run out of track, and then what do you do?
I don't think that's not a formula for long-term success. That's a formula for being, the soup du jour.
Right. So, like, I had a couple of problems with the local comedy community, and that, that was seemingly problematic at the time, but it freed me up to say a bunch of stuff that they absolutely would not say. So I put together this little thing that the transcript reads out absolutely terribly, talking about the race war, and I shaved my eyebrow, and Harry Potter is gay, and, stuff like that. And if you read it, it looks terrible. And I put the post online. It got 88,000 views in a day.
Wow.
Right, and I'm looking at the likes go up because nothing like this has happened to me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I'm noting the type of people who are liking it. It was a bunch of bot accounts. Whoever has interests against whomever we are had seeded, my cute little hate speech with a bunch of bot accounts. And it was only for like 13 people at the actual physical show. A week later, it was down to 44,000. And I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways you can play into that.
Yeah.
Somebody who's probably not given enough credit for being really good at that is Kanye.
Yeah, just
like I'm not advocating anything that he's doing, but he for an old guy,
he
with
sure
two
knows how to
teeth,
keep the attention on him.
he
That's
seems,
for sure.
Yeah.
It's like get all the attention for all the wrong reasons. It's still attention, I guess.
And to what end? I guess is a good question.
I think that's the answer to what end is not for any good end. It's just for attention's sake, which is
right.
Fuck off with that shit.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know?
And that's the competition that a lot of these people are basically playing. Because they don't have like a code or they're not rooted in like wanting to be.
I think that's why I think genuine creativeness has long legs.
Yeah.
That kind of shit has short legs. I don't think you're gonna keep that big of an audience or that authentic of an audience if you yourself are not authentic and creative.
Yeah.
If you're just trying to rile stuff up to get attention.
But it's so easy to do that.
I think that's
like it is so easy to do that.
And I think
like,
it's what a lot of people want to do.
Find ourselves arguing about human fucking trafficking for no goddamn reason on it. It's bananas.
Yeah.
Like and I don't know. As a creative person, one of the things that really kind of when comedians do it, I want to jump out of a window, talk about the news. But whenever anybody's expressing any idea that is not theirs, parroting something that somebody else said, and you can smell it, it's just, I don't know. It in my mind, it's like you can either walk through somebody else's museum or you can make your own exhibits.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make your own exhibits, well, then some of them are going to be wrong.
And I think if you walk through other people's museums and then you create your own museum and all of that stuff kind of folds together.
Yeah.
There's an authenticity to that too. It's not necessarily like you have to be
you can take
super original about everything,
Right.
Just like in music, if I hear something I like, I'm going to steal it.
Sure.
I'll be like, I love that beat.
I'm
going to use that in everything. Mm-hmm. So I think it's an odd gray area when it comes to creativeness.
Well, I guess with like comedy, the capital rule, if there is any of them, is don't steal somebody else's material.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know.
Which makes a lot more sense when you're doing comedy and you're doing jokes and stuff like that.
Right. Music, there's only a certain number of notes.
Yeah, you're relatively limited to a lot of things. I mean, there's not a lot of super new beats that I'm going to come up with. It's more of how I play those beats with people that matter. So there's definitely a distinction in all that.
Oh, yeah. So, well, there's also with music is you got the, 2 + 2 = 5 type of thing. Mm-hmm. When everybody's actually playing together, and you can get that in sports too. Mm-hmm. Like I was playing hockey with some guys one time. That was, like the first, I went from like the B team to like the B team All-Star game.
Okay.
And it was crazy. I was like, everybody could make a pass. I didn't have to like repeat myself.
Well, it makes it easier. Like it's like when I play with a lot of musicians that I feel are better than me, I'm like, this is so much easier to do.
Yeah.
When you're not pushing against people, when you're all pulling in the same direction.
So like, yeah, I guess like music, well, all right. So like on the ice, it's, it was really just everybody had all the basics down. You could throw a pass, they could catch it, they could shoot, they were good in the corners, they could hit people, they could do it backwards. There was no like obvious glaring weakness. It was, and, they were willing to, throw it back and work together. And, it went, versus like, oh, here's the kid from California, he's going to forget what offsides is again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I found, like, there's a lot of talented musicians here in this part of the world, but it's hard to assemble them all together to get something going. So there's always going to be...
like cats.
Yeah. There's always going to be a weak link, and it's, you can choose to, like, overlook that weak link, or you can, like, try and build them up to that level that you need them to be at, that's another hard thing to do.
Call it low self-esteem, but if I'm... working with a group of people, I don't want to be the worst, the weak link.
I look at it like there's situations where I want to be the shittiest musician in the band because I want to learn from it, but then I don't necessarily want to be on a stage and be the
screw the song up.
I don't want to fuck things up, but I definitely want to learn from people that I feel like are more in tune with a lot of musical things that I'm not in tune with,
right?
Because there's just so
different
much.
ideas, right?
There's such a broad world, and I'm sure it's in like comedy too. There's such a broad perspective. There's so many that it's kind of hard.
I mean, you say that, but I
I mean, I'm going to assume.
I'm not convinced that there is a hell of a lot of true originality in that sport. I mean, I'm not excluding anybody, but, you know, in my travels, if I go to an open mic, I can tell who the open micers are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could, you know, by the group of dorks that are smoking cigarettes, having a talking contest outside.
Yeah.
You know, not having a conversation, but waiting to say their part, and then, you know, just that.
Well, it's like what I said. I mean, I can tell a lot of people who music is their creative outlet, and who what music is the thing they do to make their living, because you tend to be really a lot more immersed in what you're doing if it's what you're doing for a living, and you need it to be at the top of its game so that you'll make as much money as you can. So that you're
not shooting yourself in the foot, right?
Yeah, and because I can almost always tell the difference between those guys. I've seen some Weekend Warriors that are fucking amazing and sound perfect and great. So it's not necessarily a rule of thumb, but it's general.
Typically, and that's like for comedians, somebody let me borrow a camera, and I was basically a monkey with a gun. It was a way nicer camera than I would have bought, and now I'm taking photos of everybody now. You know, and you could tell it just based on people's face, how long, like the 10-year guys versus the 8-year guys even. Like it's all like any amount of like free laughter that they could get, because they say the words, they're doing something with their body, their faces is saying the same thing too, or something totally different. You know, that's the mark, I think.
And I would imagine, you know, there's some people that it's completely natural for them. It could be the very first time they've ever done it. I've run into musicians where I'm like, you've played no gigs, you've never even really played in front of people, but this is just so easy for you to do, and it's natural for you.
Those guys frustrate me sometimes.
They do for me too, because I'm like, hey man, I mean, that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
There's a whole world of other stuff to learn about all of this too. And sometimes it can be a curse as opposed to a benefit. Again, that's why I'm like, a lot of times I'll take effort and attitude over talent. Yeah. You know, if you've got the willingness to work on it and to make it sound as good as it can, as opposed to just being, here's what I do and what sounds perfect, and it may be great, but you don't want to work on it.
Well, my thing was, if I'm playing with a group of people, I'm willing to participate so long as it continues getting better. But I just haven't found like a group of dudes I could live in a van with. You know? I just haven't, like there's.
That kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like you got to have the thickest skin. I mean, I played in a jam band from here, toured with them for about 5 years.
Yep.
And it cycled through some members,
you
know, and I ended up not playing with them anymore, which kind of ended up being very much a blessing in disguise.
Yep.
And, you know, you got to learn to have thick skin, and you want to relay. And I was the oldest guy in the band. It seems like I'm always the oldest guy in the band. It seems like that's a drummer thing, too, is you're just about always the older guy. And so you try to relay that experience of, hey, man, here's what this is. You just have to go out and do it and earn your own experience with it. But I can kind of give you a roadmap of what's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we're probably going to see some new stuff together. But at the same time, here's probably what's going to happen.
It's very thinkable. Like A to B,
And you know, it's tough. You want to end up loving people for who they are and accepting them for who they are, up until they don't accept you, I guess.
I mean, I don't know.
That's probably the easiest way for me to put it, because all of a sudden people turn against you for almost no reason, because usually they're just having trouble with themselves.
Oh yeah, totally.
And they need an outlet to project that onto.
They make it, They need a scapegoat to blame something, and then project out onto the thing. And no, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of different people who do that. You know,
it's really prevalent in the music industry. It's easy to be like, well, we just need to change drummers, and that's almost never what's really going on.
Right.
Almost never. Yeah, if you've got a drummer who's got a problem and it's not showing up, not putting in the effort, drunk, drugged out, not doing things correctly, probably gonna get somebody else who's more responsible to do it.
Kicked out of the game.
Doing just absolute asinine dumb shit. But you know, if you're gonna like project your problems onto the drummer who consistently shows up and works real hard and puts everything they got into every performance to get ahead, get the fuck out of here with your shit. Goodbye.
I mean, there's definitely like, I don't know, there's definitely a line. And part of that comes with, like, you know, having some kind of code or, like, knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, blaming somebody else for your own problems isn't usually...
That ain't gonna get you
any
anywhere.
kind of accusation's usually some kind of a confession.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's especially prevalent and easier to see in these days.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Like, that's really popular with comedians, Mm-hmm. Because it looks so easy, especially if you're doing poorly. 2 years in, instead of, like, playing guitar half your life, people want to get a gig.
Yep.
How come this person? Well, they come to the conclusion that it's not their fault,
Yeah, it can't be me.
And even if it is, not their fault, you kind of have to act as if it is.
Yeah.
Because if everything's fucked and against you, well, then there's no actionable thing to do after that.
That's when it's just time to move away, move on, move forward.
Yeah.
That's something I've learned. Some of my favorite drummers, some of my master classes that I've been to, they're like, you're always moving forward, no matter what. Do not get stuck that this one bad thing happened. Do not get stuck that you lost this one gig. Do not get stuck that you had a bad gig. Do not get stuck that you've had a run of great gigs and then it turned bad for a while. Move forward. Well, no matter what, moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, one of the things that I'm scared of in terms of just, entertainment in general is like, so I'm like more of a weekend warrior than I am a professional guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm, kind of shudder at the idea of taking something that's a whole lot of fun and then making it into a job.
Oh, and that's a healthy fear because it can get you.
It's a job.
I've gone right now. I'm kind of in the place where I'm coming out of I'm really just need to break from this for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of finally back into, okay, I really want to get back to working more, and I'm happy to be working more.
This. Yeah.
But when for like the last year-ish, I've just been like, man, I got other things I need to kind of focus on, and I'm going to get this done, but I'm going to do not necessarily the minimum amount, but I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to get it done, as opposed to put a lot more time and effort into it because I want it to be as good as I could possibly do it.
Right.
So I think that's a natural roller coaster of the entertainment industry. Is you're going to be like, man, I'm burned the fuck out on this shit for a while. Like I went from being in a van for like 250, 300 days out of the year to getting another gig that flies me to all of my gigs and gives me my own hotel room. I don't have to sleep in a room with 6 other people.
Well, you get,
the disconnect between those two has made me relish the other one more.
It is kind of funny.
I'm like, I don't mind flying and doing all this stuff, but at the same time, I love this just as much.
Do you really think that you miss it, or is it just that you're younger and you miss the feeling that you had while you were doing it?
That's a good question.
That's
a good question because I don't know. I think it's a mix of somewhere of nostalgia, and it's a mix of I really kind of wish I was living with people like that again, as opposed to being this independent contractor that, we're going to treat you right, we're going to do what you need, and we're going to pay you well to do this stuff. But at the same time, I always like building something.
Yeah.
From the bottom up. I mean, that's kind of how it's always been.
Well, it was going somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And now that, like, I'm writing this bit, I don't know how to finish it, but, punk rock guilt, there's a lot of, like, I don't know, a lot of in the metal community especially, a bunch of guys that get really guilty about their own success.
Yeah.
They're raging against the man. Now they are the man.
Yeah, they are. And they gain like 30 pounds because they're eating good for the first time in their life.
And they're like, they started off fuck capitalism, and then 3 platinum albums later, they're like, well, horses are pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of like golf.
Who doesn't like golf? All right, I like golf, and I'm a broke fuck. I've had the same clubs since 8th grade. Yep, the grips are coming off, so my white glove looks like a catcher's mitt.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a little bit of guilt with like, man.
Right, because now you're on the other side of this thing.
I think it's like you have one set of problems becomes a different set of problems, and you can either look at it like there's something that I could be bitching about this thing, or I could be bitching about this other thing and being more successful, but I'm still going to have things to bitch about.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so, I've been depressed before, and basically the deal that I made with myself is, all right, so let's say you're hypothetically just doomed to be miserable your entire life, that nothing will be perfect, all right? So take everything that you're bitching about right now and write it down. And then if a year from now you're bitching about the same stuff, now it's time to get depressed.
Yeah.
But if we're bitching about newer, cooler stuff every year, well, then that's maybe not too much to bitch about.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of it, for me, just psychologically, files under, like, all the shitty gigs, ruining my equipment, and at one time the guy threw the thing, and, you know, it's part of the business.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, this is, you know.
Yeah, like, I you know, it's when you're, like, touring on the jam circuit, you're going to have some backline drums that are absolute trash, and you're like, well, I guess I'll drag my shit in. Mm-hmm. And then on the theaters and the performing arts center stuff, I'm going to be like, man, these aren't the drums I told y'all to get for me. It's like, here's two different problems that are somewhat similar, but in two different worlds of success, it seems like.
Yeah. Well,
but it's nonetheless, it feels like a problem. But it's definitely something better to be bitching about, I guess.
Well, I guess not to be reductive, but it's usually the hourly guy fucking up little details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like that.
Which I don't want to blame anybody. I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to make whatever work.
Well, okay.
You know?
Sure, but the guy at the drive-thru has the power to completely fuck up your day.
Yep.
You know, and nobody respects him the way that, you know, they should.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
it's like, you know, it's like you treat the production people like they're the ones who should be making all the money. I believe in that. You go whenever I'm talking to production and sound guys, I'm like, hey man, I'm here. What do you need me to help with anything? I know I don't want to fuck up your routine, but if you want me, do you need me to go grab this thing?
That's totally me. It's like, let's dork out over microphones. What do you got? You know?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to be. I think having the right attitude towards everyone you're working with is the best thing. As soon as you bring out any of that fucking. Man, it's supposed to be the way that I say, get the fuck out of here. I don't give a fuck who you are, what level of any success you're on. Fuck you.
I mean, there's some
fuck out of here.
Who was the guy that had the M&Ms? Was that Led Zeppelin? Or?
Oh, that's Van Halen.
Van Halen?
Yeah.
The M&M thing was like a basic test to see if they'd pay attention to stuff like that.
Did you read our writer?
Right.
You know, did you get our helmet full of cottage cheese just to make sure you actually read our fucking writer?
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that kind of stuff, but like... I don't know. It's the people that are...
But if you come in and you bitch that your fucking helmet full of cottage cheese isn't there, fuck you.
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you're already there, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess.
You know, hey, show up, you deal with what you got. The show must go on. I believe in that. I believe in that 100%. Whatever's going on, fucking flood. Like, man, we're still going to put the show on, you know.
Right, COVID.
If I got to fucking go get fucking... goddamn bunch of anti-vax stuff or vaccines and shit. Just if I got to prove whatever to make this shit happen, just let's make it happen. I'm trying to fucking work here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit still.
Yeah.
Like,
here's my vaccine card. I'm sorry that you think that this is bad, but I also have to have it to play in this venue.
Yep.
I whatever the fuck is going on.
Here's the thing: it says I'm either responsible or a dumbass, and I don't want to talk about it with you. Okay?
Yeah. I'm sure your views are valid. I'm sure you feel very powerfully about certain things, but fuck off. I'm here to play music. The show must go on.
I think disagreeing with people is something that people could get a little bit better at.
Yeah.
So like when I was an electrician residential for like a couple of years, and then we had classes, you know, and there's a bunch of redneck yokel fucks going to that class. And what do you think they think about stuff?
Oh, man.
You know, obviously. What?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's exactly what you're thinking.
Oh, I've worked in a maintenance shop,
you know,
I know.
But some of these guys have really valuable experience that you can learn from.
Exactly.
You know,
so you got to figure out, let's maybe not talk about this stuff. And you don't want to necessarily be like, hey, man,
don't get him going on this, but he can skeet shoot with a nail gun, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This dude knows the name of every single thing on this boiler.
Don't mention anything about tunnels. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it takes all walks. You know, everybody's got their opinions. Everybody's going to be different. Every level of education is not the same, and some people draw different conclusions from the same amount of evidence. And we all got to live on this planet together. So maybe if we don't, if you've learned how to. That's why I miss the age of debate and reason.
I took debate in high school, and it's alarming because, like, I know what a fucking, like, a fallacy is.
Yeah.
And when I see people just, like, exchanging them, like it's a regular conversation, they don't know that they're breaking the rules.
My favorite fallacy is the fallacy because you got a lot of these bros who are like, oh, that's a logical fallacy. That invalidates your whole argument. That's the fallacy, asshole.
The fallacy?
Yes. It's a good one.
Well... That's a Yu-Gi-Oh counter trap card. I don't know. I've never had. Well, I might have paid. But fallacy. Just because it's a red herring doesn't mean it's not true.
No, it doesn't invalidate the entirety of their argument. That's kind of, it's like you can make a really good point and have a couple of fallacies in there. It doesn't necessarily completely invalidate everything you've said or all of the points you've made.
And then that's kind of the whole bit that I'm kind of working on. It's like the Nazis gave us beer and rockets and
meth.
Right, all shit that we love, and don't throw the baby out with the unspeakable bathwater.
Granted, all the murder is bad and most of everything else, but
also, and should I even have to say that? Like, if I poke you with a stick and you go, ouch, you're gonna get the whole "don't kill people" thing, right?
Yeah.
If you're tuned to if you're a regular person,
it amazes me, that you can get into arguments with people who will make all of the arguments of eugenics nowadays and then tell you that they're not a eugenicist.
Well.
I'm like, I think you may be not understanding your position that you have here.
Well, you know that Sweden practiced eugenics and didn't stop until like the 1970s.
And we used to sterilize a lot of people here for because we thought that their genes were no good.
I'm not saying anything about what's good and what's not, but in Sweden they do be getting around on bikes and the TVs are in the jail and it looks pretty nice. I don't know.
It's also Sweden.
Well, yeah. Also, if I say Swedish person, there's a very specific type of person that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's true.
And I don't know.
Rarely do the ends justify the means.
I don't know.
Sometimes things can be okay.
Well, I don't know. And I think it's okay not to have all the answers.
I do too. I think it's better to see a degree of gray area as opposed to it's all correct or incorrect.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of you can't really know everything about something. Even if you are the best expert in the world on some things, I'm going to take your opinion with a lot more weight. But at the same time, there's still a whole lot that we're going to say we don't know about some things.
I mean, there's got to be some kind of and this is something that the internet probably fix.
I'm going to still stick with Nazis are bad.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying.
Racism
I'm not
is
saying
bad.
But they did do and this is a retarded conversation.
this is getting bad.
The trains were on time. No, and on that note, ladies and gentlemen, Jakob Shaffer. This has been Connie's Untitled Nighttime Talk Show. We've covered a lot. Let's see. Try to have new problems. Keep a thick skin. Don't be all hat. And if you buy your own gear, you too can be in 13 fucking bands. Thank you so much for the time, Jakob. I appreciate it.
Great times.
I hope you had fun.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for listening, Bryce and maybe Steven.
Hey, thank you too, guys.
Yeah, tune in next time for Ran Out of Storage.
Aww.
Well, let's see how much we got.